Have you ever stopped to think about why so many marriages are ending nowadays? Why that couple who seemed perfect on social media is separating? Why men who work hard, provide for the household, and try to do everything right are still considered insufficient? The answer will shock you because it's not where most people are looking. It's not in infidelity, it's not in lack of money, it's not even in lack of love. The problem lies in something much deeper and more dangerous: the total collapse of reciprocity in modern relationships. We are living through a silent epidemic of empty marriages. Couples who sleep in the same bed but live in completely different worlds. Men who wake up every day to work, provide, sustain dreams that aren't even theirs anymore, while feeling that nothing they do is enough. Women who accumulate resentment, comparisons, and impossible expectations, waiting for their partners to be the perfect version they saw in some motivational video or inspiring post. And in the middle of it all, marriage dies slowly, suffocated not by hatred, but by indifference disguised as disappointment. The truth no one wants to say out loud is this: modern marriage has turned into an extractive relationship. A dynamic where one side expects to receive everything: financial stability, constant emotional support, soap opera romance, endless understanding, daily validation, while offering less and less in return. And when the man finally raises his voice to say he's tired, that he has feelings too, that he also needs to be valued, he is labeled as insensitive, as someone who doesn't understand anything about relationships. Let's be clear: when was the last time you saw a married man genuinely appreciated by his wife? I'm not talking about performative gratitude on social media, that Mother's Day post full of heart emojis. I'm talking about real, daily, sincere recognition. When was the last time he came home after an exhausting day at work and was greeted with a genuine smile, with real interest in how his day went, with a hug that didn't come with a demand? The modern man is exhausted. He wakes up early, faces traffic, puts up with an incompetent boss, handles work pressure, works overtime, all to make sure the bills are paid, the family is comfortable, and dreams remain possible. He comes home expecting a safe harbor and finds a minefield. Any poorly chosen word becomes an argument. Any forgetfulness becomes a reason for days of cold silence. Any attempt to discuss his own feelings is seen as an attack or a lack of sensitivity. And do you know what's worse? He can't complain. Because if he complains, they will say he's sexist, that he wants to go back to the past, that he doesn't accept that women are independent. But no one is talking about going back to the past. We are talking about balance in the present. We are talking about a fair exchange where both give and both receive. Where both value and are valued. Where both support and are emotionally supported. The raw and naked reality is that many women today have been taught that they need a man who is everything: financial provider, emotional therapist, best friend, motivational personal trainer, spiritual guru, and on top of that, an insatiable lover. Meanwhile, what do they offer in return? Constant criticism. Comparisons with a friend's husband, with an internet influencer, with the ex-boyfriend who knew how to surprise. Endless demands. Expectations that even she couldn't fulfill if the roles were reversed. Social media has created a generation of dissatisfied women because they constantly compare real life with the edited and filtered version they see on their phone screens. That couple who posts photos every day with a romantic caption? Behind the scenes, they fight like everyone else. That husband who appears doing an elaborate surprise? You didn't see the other 51 weeks of the year when he was completely ignored. But these women see those 30 seconds of fantasy and think their own marriage is wrong, that their own husband is inferior, that they deserve more. And when the man tries to talk about it, when he tries to put his feelings on the table, he is bombarded with terms they learned from cheap psychology videos. You are gaslighting me, this is emotional manipulation, you are being abusive. Any disagreement became abuse. Any boundary became sexism. Any attempt at dialogue became an attack. The man no longer even has the right to defend himself without being pathologized. Therapeutic language, which should help couples understand each other better, has become a weapon of control. It has become a tool to silence, to invalidate, to win arguments without needing to listen to the other side. And in the end, what's left? A silent man, holding on to resentment, feeling alone within his own marriage. A dissatisfied woman, always expecting more, always thinking she deserves better, always demanding what she herself does not offer. Look, if you're enjoying this content and want to understand more about why modern relationships are failing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. We need to talk more about these truths that no one has the courage to say. And believe me, there's much more ahead that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about marriage. Let's dive into this wound that nobody wants to touch: the systematic devaluation of male effort at home. You know that man who pays all the bills, ensures a roof over the family's head, works until dawn to handle everything? Well, for many modern women, this has become an invisible obligation. It's no longer seen as sacrifice, as dedication, as love expressed through sweat. It has become merely the minimum expected. And when something is treated as an obligation, it stops generating gratitude. It loses value. Now think with me, what happens when you work tirelessly and no one recognizes it? When you go above and beyond to guarantee comfort and security, but all you get in return are complaints about what you still haven't managed to do. It's like filling a leaky bucket. No matter how much water you pour in, it will never fill. No matter how much a man tries, it will never be enough, because the standard of satisfaction is always being moved further away. And here's something that will upset a lot of people: this dynamic isn't accidental. It has been cultivated by a culture that taught women to be eternally dissatisfied, eternally critical, eternally reformers of men. How many times have you heard that phrase, "I'll marry him and then I'll change him"? Exactly. Marriage has turned into a renovation project. The husband has become an unfinished work that needs to be corrected, molded, transformed into the idealized vision she has in her head. But let's talk about the emotional side of this story, because that's where it gets even more perverse. The modern man is bombarded with the message that he needs to be emotionally available, needs to talk about his feelings, needs to be vulnerable. Fine, he tries. He opens up, shares his insecurities, his fears, his frustrations. And do you know what happens? It's used against him. That vulnerability becomes ammunition in the next argument. That moment of weakness becomes a reason for veiled disrespect. Because deep down, many women say they want a sensitive man, but they lose attraction when he actually shows fragility. So the man learns to stay silent. He learns that his feelings have no safe space, not even within his own marriage. He learns that he must be the emotional pillar for everyone, but no one will be a pillar for him. His wife can have a bad day, and he must understand, support, and validate every single feeling she has. But when he has a bad day, stop complaining, others have worse problems, you're being dramatic. Empathy has become a one-way street. And it doesn't stop there. Let's talk about the culture of toxic perfectionism that has invaded relationships. Women today consume endless content about healthy relationships, ideal partner, red flags, self-love. And every video they watch, every post they read, every podcast they listen to, adds another impossible expectation to the list. The husband now has to be perfect in all areas simultaneously: financially stable, emotionally mature, physically attractive, sexually creative, domestically helpful, socially charismatic, spiritually evolved. No human being can be all of that at the same time. None. But he is expected to achieve it. And when he fails in any of these areas, even if he excels in all the others, that failure is magnified, repeated, thrown in his face at every opportunity. You never do anything romantic, even if he works 12 hours a day to pay for her dream vacation. You don't understand me, even if he spent the previous night listening to her vent for 3 hours. You only think about yourself, even if all his decisions revolve around the family's well-being. The inconvenient truth is this: many modern women want all the benefits of having a traditional partner, but without offering any of the benefits that traditional women offered. They want a provider man, but criticize him when he's tired. They want financial security, but complain that he works too much. They want stability, but create constant emotional instability at home. They want respect, but don't respect. They want to be heard, but don't listen. They want support, but don't support. And when this is pointed out, when someone has the courage to say these truths, the immediate response comes: "You're generalizing, not all women are like that, you're sexist." But we're not talking about all women. We're talking about a growing and destructive trend that is killing marriages by the thousands. We're talking about a behavioral pattern that has been normalized and even encouraged by a culture that preaches female empowerment as synonymous with male diminishment. True empowerment doesn't need to destroy the other. True strength doesn't need to weaken the partner. True love doesn't keep score of who does more or who deserves more. But that has been forgotten. Marriage has become competition. It has become a power struggle. It has become a constant negotiation where someone is always losing. And when both are focused on not losing, no one wins. Now we've reached the point where everything collapses. The moment when the man finally hits his emotional limit. You know that moment when years of devaluation, years of criticism, years of feeling that nothing he does matters, finally explode? Not in shouts, not in violence, but in something much scarier, emotional withdrawal. He simply stops trying. Stops caring. Stops fighting for a relationship that only he seems to be sustaining. And here's the shock. When a man gives up emotionally, the marriage is already over. It may continue to exist on paper, they may continue living in the same house, sharing the same bed, but the marriage is dead. Because a relationship without emotional investment is just a cold partnership, a convenience agreement, a lie that both pretend to believe. And the blame? It's not just hers. But the responsibility to recognize the destructive pattern lies with the one who perpetuates it. Let's talk about the collapse of communication. Because that's where the real disaster lives. Communication in modern marriages has been replaced by monologues of accusation. There is no longer dialogue, only one side speaking and the other defending. There is no longer genuine exchange, only demands disguised as conversation. "We need to talk" has become synonymous with "I'm going to list everything you're doing wrong." And the man? He already knows it's useless to speak, so he just listens in silence, accumulates resentment, and shuts down more and more. But here's something that will make many people rethink. This male silence is not lack of communication, it's self-preservation. Because every time he tries to express himself, he is interrupted, invalidated, or ridiculed. Every time he puts his feelings on the table, they are minimized or used against him later. So he learns that silence is safer than honesty. And when silence settles in, intimacy dies. Not physical intimacy, but that deep connection that makes two people truly care about each other. And do you know the cruel irony of all this? Many of these women who destroy their marriages with constant criticism and lack of gratitude are the same ones who will cry on social media when the divorce happens. They will post about how men are worthless, about how I gave everything and it wasn't valued, about how he changed. But the truth they don't tell is that he didn't change, he just got tired. Tired of being insufficient. Tired of being the villain. Tired of carrying alone the weight of a relationship that should have been shared by two. Let's dive deeper into this pain, because it needs to be said, the modern man is living a loneliness within his own marriage that is more painful than any single loneliness. At least a single man knows he is alone and expects nothing from anyone. But the married man? He is next to someone who should be his partner, his ally, his source of support, and yet he feels completely abandoned. He provides, protects, sustains, but emotionally he is adrift. And this pain is silent because he cannot express it without being seen as weak. Social media has intensified this problem in ways we can barely comprehend. Every woman now has unlimited access to fictional lives of other people, to relationships that seem perfect, to men who appear to do everything right. And she compares. Compares her husband, who works late and comes home tired, with the influencer who posts romantic videos every day. Compares his real effort with the edited fantasy of strangers. And in this unfair comparison, he always loses. Always falls short. Always is insufficient. But no one shows the behind the scenes. No one posts about the arguments, the bad days, the moments of boredom and routine. Everyone posts only the highlights, the magical moments, the exceptions. And these exceptions have become the standard by which real relationships are measured. It's like comparing your financial life with that of a billionaire and getting depressed because you don't have a yacht. It's an absurd comparison, but that's exactly what's happening in marriages. And when a man cannot compete with this digital fantasy, when he cannot be the Prince Charming of soap operas and romantic movies while also being the exhausted provider of real life, he is discarded. Not physically at first, but emotionally. She pulls away, loses interest, starts seeking validation elsewhere, flirts with the idea that she deserves someone better, that she's not happy, that she married the wrong person. The brutal truth is that this marriage crisis will not improve until people wake up to a simple reality: nobody is perfect. No relationship is perfect. No partner will fill all your voids, achieve all your dreams, or be exactly as you imagined. And the sooner we accept this, the sooner we stop chasing impossible perfection and start valuing real effort, the better chance we have of building something that truly lasts. So what's the way out? How do we save marriages that still have a chance? How do we build relationships that actually work in this modern world full of pitfalls? The answer isn't in going back to the past, as many want to believe. It's in creating a new model based on old principles that have always worked: real reciprocity, genuine humility, and daily gratitude. Reciprocity means that both give and both receive. It's not about keeping score, it's about ensuring that no one is carrying the relationship alone. If he works hard to provide financially, she needs to recognize and value that sacrifice. If she takes care of the house and the children, he needs to see it as real work and show gratitude. Both contribute in different ways, and both contributions have undeniable value. When one side devalues the other's effort, imbalance begins. Humility is accepting that you also make mistakes, that you also have flaws, that you also need to improve. It's not only the partner who needs to change, you need to as well. It's not only him who needs to grow, you need to too. This idea of I'm right and he's wrong is pure poison. Healthy relationships are built by two imperfect people who choose to work together, not by a perfect person trying to fix the other. Gratitude is the glue that holds everything together. It's impossible to maintain resentment when you practice genuine gratitude. When you stop focusing on what's missing and start valuing what exists. When you stop comparing your partner to internet fantasies and start seeing the real human being by your side. That man who may not be perfect, but who wakes up every day and chooses to stay. Who works hard even when tired. Who tries even when he fails. That deserves gratitude, not constant criticism. But here's the hard part: change requires courage. It requires looking in the mirror and admitting that maybe you are part of the problem. It requires letting go of the victim role and taking responsibility for your destructive behaviors. And that hurts. It hurts to recognize that those constant criticisms were killing your marriage. It hurts to admit that you were demanding more than you were offering. It hurts to realize that you wasted precious time focusing on what was wrong instead of cultivating what was right. For the women who recognize themselves in this description, it's not too late. If your husband is still by your side, if he still wakes up every day and tries, you have a chance to fix things. Start by expressing genuine gratitude for what he does. Stop comparing him to impossible standards. Ask about his day and really listen to the answer. Show that you see his effort. Acknowledge the weight he carries. Be the partner you would like him to be as a partner. And for men who are exhausted, communicate your limits before giving up completely. Don't wait until the point of no return. Have the difficult conversation. Say clearly and firmly that you also need to be valued, that you also have feelings, that a relationship is a two-way street. If she truly loves you, she will listen. If she doesn't listen, at least you'll know you did your part. The most important lesson of all this is this: a happy marriage doesn't happen by chance. It's not luck. It's not fate. It's the daily choice of two people mature enough to put the relationship above their own ego. It's the constant work of mutual appreciation. It's the humility to recognize mistakes. It's the generosity to forgive failures. It's the wisdom to choose your battles. It's love demonstrated in actions, not just words. Marriages are dying because people want to reap without planting. They want perfect relationships without doing the necessary work. They want to be loved unconditionally while offering love full of conditions. They want partners who complete them, but they don't want to complete anyone. That doesn't work. It never worked. It will never work. The secret of marriages that last decades isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of commitment. It's not the lack of flaws. It's the abundance of forgiveness. It's not constant movie-like romance. It's solid real-life partnership. It's two people who look at each other every day and choose to stay, choose to try, choose to value each other. So if you want a happy marriage, stop looking for the perfect person and start being the partner you would like to have. Stop demanding more than you offer. Stop criticizing more than you praise. Stop comparing and start appreciating. Because in the end, you don't reap what's planted in your neighbor's garden, you reap what you plant in your own soil. And if you've made it this far and this message touched you in some way, subscribe to the channel and like the video. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because these truths need to be said, even if they make people uncomfortable, especially because they make people uncomfortable.